can download some WiiWare games! Today I'm so excited because I'm going to be downloading some WiiWare games and... No, Nick, don't do it! Who are you? I'm me. I'm you. From the future. Obviously. What? From the future? Well, I guess that's cool. I like time travel, so let's go with it.
Contrary to popular belief, people don't wear sunglasses in the future.
Well, yeah, I knew that. I am from the future. Anyway, you're too late. The last day to put the points on was the 26th of March. What? Oh, but I just bought these points cards. Don't be too bummed out. You can still download games if you've got points until January next year. Oh, and get a haircut, you hippie. Wow, future me's a bit rude, isn't he? Anyway, Nintendo Wii here, welcome back to Let's Play Retro Games. And in this episode I'm going to tell you 10 of my favourite games for WiiWare. So the first game we have here is Sonic 4. I know it's probably the least favourite of everyone's Sonic games, but at the time I was super excited for the game. And it was quite fun. Yes, the physics are pretty terrible, but the game itself is quite fun. I love the music. The levels are exactly what you'd expect from a Sonic game, no more, no less. If you enjoyed the classic Sonic games, you probably would enjoy Sonic 4 as well. I was just a bit disappointed that Episode 2 never came out on the Wii. I actually got that on the PS3 instead, because if you owned both games you could unlock a few little extra bonuses. So when WiiWare came out, it was basically the beginning of the retro revival era. So loads of companies were making sort of retro remakes of some of their games, and Konami was no exception. They released 3 games on the WiiWare service. The first one I'm talking about here is Gradius Rebirth. Basically made to look like a SNES game, Gradius Rebirth is extremely difficult. It's still a great game. One thing that really frustrates me though is the fact that there's no auto-fire. Something that I really take for granted with shooters. And on the SNES I had a turbo fire controller, so that solved that problem. So on the Wii, on Gradius, you have to keep hammering the button down to keep fire, and it really does tire you out after a while. The game itself though, if you can get past the incredible difficulty, is just as good as any other Gradius game. I love the graphics, I love what they did with the music, it really gives off a sort of Mega Drive vibe, so I definitely recommend Gradius Rebirth. And one more thing to note about these Konami games, they are not available on anything else. So if you do have any points left over on the Wii, these 3 games are games that I definitely recommend picking up before the service shuts off completely. Number 8, a game that I have shown off in a previous video, so I'll put that video in the description. It was my Excitebike retrospective. This game is Excitebike World Challenge. It came as a huge surprise to a lot of people that Nintendo would actually make a new game in the Excitebike series. The Wii did get Excite Truck when it launched, but it wasn't a proper Excitebike game. And this game is so much fun. It really is the next step that the NES game would have been if it was on a modern console. It even has the track editor from the NES game, which is something I really love. Number 7, this game is really weird. It's part of the Art Style series, which was a series of very small games that came out on WiiWare and DSiWare, and I think a few have come out on the 3DS eShop since then. Penta Tentacles is definitely one of the most interesting games on the entire service, or even on the entire system. It kind of reminds me a bit of something like Geometry Wars, just because of how colourful and over the top it is. Basically you play as a little spinning disc and one side's yellow and one side's red, and you have to pick up the different sort of bugs that are floating around in the stage. It's hard to explain, but really you should definitely check it out if you've got some Wii points left. I love it. So number 6, another one of the Konami Rebirth games. This one is Contra Rebirth. Contra is one of my favourite game series. I love run and gun shooters, and this game on WiiWare is no exception. It's really great, it's really fast paced, it has amazing 16-bit style graphics. They sort of cheated a little bit and you can see where some of the more modern graphics come into it. But even so, it's a fantastic game and a brilliant retro revival. And I still put it up there as one of the best Contra games to date. It's really, really good. Obviously, no Nintendo system is complete without a Pokemon game. WiiWare actually got 2. There was Pokemon Ranch, which was kind of just a boring sort of farm simulator with Pokemon. And it also got the amazing Pokemon Rumble. If any of you guys have played the 3DS Pokemon Rumble games, you know exactly what to expect with this WiiWare version. It's basically exactly the same as the first Pokemon Rumble game on the 3DS. It sort of plays like a Pokemon-style top-down beat-em-up. You collect different Pokemon by using your attacks on them, and sometimes one of them will drop down onto the floor and then you can move over it and pick it up and add it to your party. It's a really addictive game and I really love all the Pokemon Rumble games. Apart from the one that they released on the Wii U, because that was literally just a battle mode, and it kind of sucked. So definitely the WiiWare game is a fantastic one, but if you don't have a WiiWare, if you don't have a Wii, definitely check out the 3DS games because they're also a lot of fun. In at number 4 is an amazing game. I remember being so excited when this got announced and I downloaded it on WiiWare day one. I hadn't played it before, so I was really excited to check it out and see what all the hype was about. Of course, I'm talking about Cave Story. These days, there's no reason to play the WiiWare version. It's actually just come out on the Switch. So if you've got a Switch, definitely go and pick up Cave Story. It's one of my favourite indie games of any generation. It was basically the first example of a game made by one person that became popular. Cave Story is brilliant, it really is. It's basically a sort of, kind of Metroidvania, but a bit more simple at the same time. It has a really charming story and really fun, addictive gameplay. And it makes me want to go back and play it again after recording this footage. In at number 3, the final game in the Konami Rebirth series. Of course, I'm a huge Castlevania fan, if you couldn't tell already. I did a Let's Play Retro Games video about Castlevania for the Mega Drive, so I'll put that in the description. But this one, Castlevania Rebirth, is a brilliant return to form. It's actually a remake of the first Game Boy Advance Castlevania, which most people seem to think is one of the worst games in the series. So they really did an amazing job updating it for the Wii. It's a really fun game, it plays exactly as you'd expect a classic Castlevania game to play, with the fact that you can actually move while you're in the air, which makes it a little bit easier than something like the NES Castlevanias. Just like all the other Konami games on WiiWare, the music's brilliant. They did a great job making it sound almost exactly like a Mega Drive, so thumbs up to Konami, you did a great job. And it's a shame where the company's gone these days, because I'd love to see more retro revivals come out on something like the Nintendo eShop or on PSN or something. That would be great. And the last 2 games here, no prizes for guessing which ones I've picked if you've seen my channel for a while. I'm sure you know I'm a huge Mega Man fan, so of course the final 2 games are Mega Man 9 and 10. Before Mega Man 9 came out, I remember being so hyped. I was playing all the Mega Man games back to back. I'd installed them all on my laptop, I'd got them all on the NES. I think at the time I'd got most of them on the Virtual Console on the Wii. Yeah, Mega Man 9, it's everything I wanted it to be and more. I was a bit disappointed that they took away things like the Mega Buster charge shot from Mega Man 4 and the slide from Mega Man 3, but I think at the time returning to the roots of Mega Man 2 style gameplay was the right thing to do, and I absolutely love the game. It's probably the easiest Mega Man game as well, so if you're new to the Mega Man series, definitely check out Mega Man 9. And it's also available on PS3, Xbox One, and it's coming out on Switch soon in Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. So highly, highly recommend Mega Man 9. And of course the same can be said about Mega Man 10. I put this one a bit higher just because there's a bit more to this game, I feel. The levels are a bit more interesting, and you've got some fantastic music, such as the theme for Solar Man's stage, which I absolutely love. And the Dr. Wily levels in that game are really cool too. And I love the fact that they upped the difficulty a bit from Mega Man 9 as well. And they introduced some DLC with new characters, and they also introduced some DLC where you could play as some other Mega Man characters. I really love both these games, and I'm so happy that they're getting a physical release on the Switch. And I'm so happy that they've come out on other systems so they weren't just lost forever on WiiWare. So a few games that didn't quite make my list, but I still want to call them out because they were amazing games at the time, and they really showed just how diverse WiiWare could be. So the first one I'm showing here is Fast Racing League. If you've got a Switch or if you've got a Wii U, you might recognise the fast racing games. This was the first fast racing game that the developer Shinen ever made, and at the time the graphics were mind-blowing. It's a really great game, it has the motion controls like Mario Kart. It's basically, if F-Zero was on the Wii, this is what it would have been, and it plays really well. The next game here, I had this game on the DS, but the WiiWare games sort of gave it a bit of a motion gimmick. It's Action Loop Twist. If you've played Zuma from PopCap, you know exactly what to expect with this game. You put your Mii in the centre of the screen and you can just spin around and shoot the different bubbles. It's really simple, but it is a lot of fun if you like puzzle games. A game that for some reason isn't on my Wii anymore and it wouldn't give me the option to re-download it, but I did love the game at the time. This is Lost Winds. There was actually a sequel as well, which I never played, but these games were really interesting adventure, platformer, puzzle games. You use the Wii remote to make the wind sweep around the stages, and it was just a really nice, relaxing game, and it really put the Wii remote pointer to good use as well. A game that I just found out about before making this video, this one's called Kyoto Kei, or Kyoto Koi I think. Basically, I was really surprised to find this. It's like a mix of Toho, the shooting series, and Ikaruga, the fact that you can swap the ship for 2 colours. It does seem kind of cheap, and I can tell it was made on a really tight budget, but it's a great idea and it was really fun. There's actually a free demo. So if you are interested, you can go and download the demo off the Wii Shop channel right now. And the last game I want to talk about here is another game in the Art Style series. It's called Art Style Light Trax, and I really love the aesthetic of this game. It just looks really cool. The actual game itself is kind of simple. It's just a really basic racing game, but if you go close to the other lines you get a bit of a speed boost. But I just love the graphics in this game and the soundtrack that goes along with it. So there we go, thank you very much for watching. That was my top 10 WiiWare games. I'm really going to miss WiiWare, and I just loved the little loading screen when you downloaded a game, so that's going to be missed as well. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment, rate and subscribe. Check out my Patreon, the link's in the description. Me from the future told me I have 3 Patreons now, so see if we can make that a reality. Thanks very much for watching, see you next week. Goodbye. I mean, you can still download the games until January next year, so have fun with that.
Where are you going?
To the moon!